Attorney Thomas J. Henry is recognized across the nation for taking on the tough cases and obtaining results that speak for themselves. From the time he was a young man, he's had a passion for helping others. And after 35 years of being an attorney, he still wakes up each day with that same burning desire. Thomas J. Henry, the name you know, the firm you trust.
You stretch.
Stretch.
I'm getting old. Pickle.
Well, I could have told you that.
Pickle? Hit the air raid sign. It's time for Monday Morning Fallout. Monday Morning Fallout, when we overreact to the football weekend. A lot to overreact to this week. A lot to. We're going to start with my 3 big thoughts. Thought number 1, you are your resume.
Mm-hmm.
Not you are your resume, but you are your resume.
Listen.
Do you know how to do the accents?
Not on a
on a PC.
On a PC. So
anyway,
we're going resumed for
you
today.
You are your resume. So we're 8 weeks in, folks. We're 2 months into the Texas high school football season. 2 months. Almost every team in the state has played at least 7 games. There's a few here and there that have only played 6, right? Things like that. But almost every team has played at least 7 games. And so we are now at the point, and this is kind of this is something that I like to explain every year. Preseason projections and what we think of you in the preseason begin to get faded out over time.
Yes.
Right? That, like, for example, if you are a team that we think is one of the very best teams in the state, and you lose in week 1, we're not going to panic too much.
Right.
Because there is that one, like, it's just one game. You have a small sample size.
Yep. A lot of times in the non-district stuff, it might be a smaller team punching up to a larger team.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's like,
a lot to weigh there, right? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But as the season wears on, the preseason projections fade out and the on-field performances fade in. Mm-hmm. And so if you've ever wondered, like, why isn't this team ranked, or why is this team still ranked and things like that, a lot of it is that we're still factoring in our preseason projections. A lot of it is that we still think, okay, we still believe that this team is good. I would tell you, as somebody who helps out with Dave Campbell's Texas Football Associated Press rankings, I can tell you that at this point, it's essentially all what you've done. Mm-hmm. You are what you've done at this point. There is no, if you're 0-8, you're just an 0-8 team. If you're 7-0, you're just a darn good team, plain and simple. There's no accidental 7-0s. There's no accidental 8-0s. That just doesn't exist. You are what your resume says you are. Now, we could talk about style points.
Yeah.
We can talk about whether or not you're dominant. We can talk about things like that. Like, for example, when we put up our computer rankings on TexasFootball.com, a lot of that, the computer really values dominance. Mm-hmm. That, like, they really want you to run up the score. So if you're good at beating bad teams by large margins, the computer's going to take notice of it. If you're just going out there and taking your foot off the gas, you might get punished. In the human rankings, we try to factor that in. We try to understand and have a little bit more nuance to it. But I think that at this point, every Texas high school football team is what their record says they are. Like, there are some teams that I think are better than their record indicates, some teams that are worse, but there's no teams that are 1-6 that I think actually should be 8-0.
Eventually winning is winning and losing is losing. You can't.
And I think we've reached that point. Mm-hmm. I think we've now reached the point.
It's too large of a sample size.
We have enough data to know who you are, or have a pretty good idea.
Well, also, we just look dumb if we keep going, oh, this team is 1-6. But it's like, no, guys, we swear that they're good. Like, how long can we do that before people are like, dude, look at the number?
At some point, put up or shut up. Mm-hmm. And, like, I think we've now reached the point 8 weeks through the season. Thought number 1. Thought number 2, win your clunkers. So we're not actually going to talk about the biggest college football game of the weekend, which was the one that Pickle was at.
Yes.
Instead, I want to talk about what I think is a really important skill for a football program. Okay. And that is to win a game when you don't play well. Mm-hmm. I think I heard this once on. I think I've heard this first on the venerable old podcast Ain't Played Nobody with our friend Bill Connolly and Stephen Godfrey, that they said win your clunkers. win the games where you come out and you just kind of fart around. Mm-hmm. Win those games.
Like if the Cowboys could have pulled out the win last
exactly
time.
right.
That would have been winning your clunker.
I think that's a good example. The Cowboys, I think no right-minded Cowboy fan would say that they played particularly well last time.
But they got it so close. They could have won that game.
They could have won that game.
If they would have just done like 1-2 things different.
That would have been an example of not playing well and yet winning your game.
The win. Yep.
I think you had a couple teams this week in college football who won their clunkers. I thought Texas won a clunker.
Yes.
Texas did not play particularly well against Iowa State. I thought that they were messy and sloppy in that game, but
they let them hang around for far too long. Absolutely.
And they got a little lucky down the stretch, no doubt about it. But in the end, it goes in the left-hand column. And you don't apologize for going in the left-hand column because you win your clunkers, right? I thought UTSA actually did that too.
Yeah,
I didn't think UTSA played very well against FIU. FIU's a bad team. I know they won by 20, but like they won the game plain and simple. I didn't think SMU played particularly well against Navy.
No, they did not.
They had a horse poop on the field.
I was going to say the horse didn't think so either.
Shout out Peruna. They didn't play particularly well, but they won their clunkers. I'll tell you teams that didn't win their clunkers. Baylor played like dog against West Virginia, and they got bit. Plain and simple. They did not play well, especially defensively.
On a night where everyone was watching them because they were the only game on.
They did not play particularly well. That's an example of the other side where if you don't play particularly well, I thought Rice same way with FAU. That game was winnable. They did not play particularly well, and yet that game was there for them. They could have had it a different way. That, I think, is the mark. If you want to talk about, like, for example, like Texas, if you want to talk about the progress that I think Texas has made as a program, that's a game they lose in past years.
Yes, absolutely.
Against Iowa State. The way they played and the way Iowa State was playing, that's a game they lose 24-14 a lot of weeks. But instead, they found a way, and that's an important skill, I think, for a college football team, is the ability to win your clunkers. And thought number 3, best week ever. This upcoming week 9 of the Texas high school football season, if we can change the lower third. This week 9 of the Texas high school football season is the best week of the year.
Yes.
Now, there will be better weeks in the playoffs. It's the best week of the regular season, is what I'm saying. But this is the week actually we've had circled since the jump, because you've got some games across the state that from Jump Street we knew were going to be huge.
Yes.
Okay? We knew that Lido Denton Ryan was going to be a big game. We knew Allen and Geyer was going to be a big game. We knew that the matchup of state champions, Stephenville and China Spring, was going to be a big game. We knew that games like the other matchup of state champions in Lorena and Franklin was going to be a big game, right? We knew those. What has made this the best week ever of the week
is the ones that we didn't expect.
Is the ones that we didn't think were going to be great. Lake Belton and Midlothian is suddenly a certified banger. Katy Cinco Ranch and Katy is suddenly a certified banger. How about a battle of unbeatens in the Battle of the Arroyo? Harlingen and San Benito. Always a big game. Now, because of the rivalry aspect, now match of unbeatens, certified banger.
Isn't it the only? Is it the only?
It's one of two. The other one is Frisco Independence and Argyle, which we'll talk about that in a moment. Weston Grandview, certified banger.
We didn't even mention Shiner and Refugio.
Oh yeah, that one. That one's also.
Usually we say, oh, it's Shiner. Well, I guess not Shiner Refugio week. But it's a district game now.
100%. 100%. It is a enormous week of high school football across the state of Texas. It is the best week ever. This is the week to lock in, because not only high leverage games, but also just this smorgasbord of games. You go back, I mean this in a loving way, this is the anti-week 6.
Yes.
Week 6 was when everyone had open dates, and the schedule was just not that good. Okay? This week, a smorgasbord of spectacular high school football games. It's the best week ever. 3 big thoughts. 3 helmet stickers. A helmet sticker to Arlington Seguin wide receiver Carterius Brown. 5 catches, 204 yards, 4 touchdowns. So they tackled him once.
seems.
I hope he ran
good.
out of bounds. I haven't seen the film.
Yeah, where
I hope he ran out of bounds.
didn't
I hope he
ever
never
get
got tackled. I hope he ran out of bounds. Carterius Brown from Arlington Scheme. A helmet sticker for TCU wide receiver Quentin Johnston. So I have a weird question. Is Quentin Johnston the best receiver in America?
He is in the conversation. I mean, he's got to be top 3, maybe.
He's looked at the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
He was the difference in their win over Oklahoma State.
Oh, hands down. I mean,
those first couple drives, they didn't throw it to him, and then they were like, what if we make the whole play out of Quentin Johnston?
Yep. And then Oklahoma State had no answer for him at all.
He was spectacular. And TCU rolls on 6-0. And a helmet sticker to Timpson athlete Terry Bussey. It is with deep regret that I announced that he's at it again. Against who they play? West Sabine, maybe? I think it was. He goes 6 of 8 for 149 yards and 4 touchdowns passing. He had 4 carries for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing. He had 6 tackles, and he returned an interception for a touchdown. So Terry Bussey at it again. 3 teams to watch. Let's talk about Granger.
This is a fun district.
This is a real fun district. Granger knocks off Bremond in what, according to the rankings, is not really an upset. Remember, they were number 9 and Bremond was number 10. That district, 13-2A Division 2, between Granger, Bremond, is it Crawford? No, who is it? Who's the other team in that district? I've got this. Hold on. You're listening to live coverage of me looking up who that other team is. Milano's undefeated. Chilton, thank you. Not Crawford. The other C team. The other C2A team
that's has undefeated. The same logo, I'm fairly positive.
That's undefeated. Yeah. That's both the Pirates.
Yeah.
That's a good miss. I'm going to take that one.
Milano's 6-0.
Huge game this week.
God.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Chilton's 7-0, Granger's 6-1, Milano's 6-0, and Bremond is 5-2. I mean,
yeah. This is a Granger team that was a real prove-it game because they were undefeated coming into that game. Obviously, they're 6-1. Their one loss was to Thorndale, but after that they'd beat Goldthwaite, they beat Iola last week. Well, now they get into the meat of the schedule: Bremond, Chilton, and Milano in consecutive weeks, and they're 1-0 in those games. Mm-hmm. Keep an eye on them. Big game this week against Chilton. Another banger.
Yeah.
North Texas.
Caw. What's up, CUSA West?
Yeah, I wish I could explain it. I can't.
So do all of us.
I can't. I think a big part of it is they've just run the ball really well. Mm-hmm. They found a running game, and the offensive line started getting pushed. They get a big win over Louisiana Tech. Now, Louisiana Tech is nothing to write home about.
Right.
But you know what is? 3-0 in conference.
Yeah. You're telling me, we're not relying on Austin Awney to do everything and stuff starts going well? Who could have figured that out?
They ran for 475 yards.
They did.
They ran for 10 yards a carry. I don't care if you're playing I don't care if you're playing, Coppell Middle School North. Shout out Cougars. That's impressive. And finally, Frisco Emerson. So we don't usually put teams that lose in here, but Frisco Emerson suffered their first loss of the year on Thursday. They lose to Argyle, 24-10. Okay? Watch this space on Frisco Emerson. It's a first-year varsity program. Coach Kendall Miller doing a great job there. That is a really, you don't say good loss, right? But for a program where they are going up against the number 1 team in the state to make Argyle earn it for 4 quarters, keep an eye on Frisco Emerson. I think the Mavericks got a little something cooking.
Yeah, that's
there.
Another district where Argyle's 7-0, Emerson is 7-1, Independence is 7-0, Lake Dallas is 6-1. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's
a really
deep.
Good district. Really good district.
And you want to talk about one that we wouldn't have been talking about at the beginning of the year? That district alone.
Oh, 100%.
It was Argyle on the field. That was it.
It was Argyle, and then wake me up when Argyle gets to the regional semifinals, basically.
Yeah.
But now it's a really good district. 3 to C. I told you it's a big week. Shiner Furio week. Shiner Furio week. Of course, we're gonna spill a lot of ink over this game. It's a massive game. One thing I will throw out there into the universe. Both of these coaches, I think, have a keen understanding that there is a decent chance this is one of 2 meetings. Mm-hmm. And so, as a result, how much do you put on tape?
I was going to say, yeah,
something to think on. I'm not saying they're not trying. I'm not saying they're going to try not to win,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there is a certain level of gamesmanship that goes into this because these are programs that know each other well, and they know that there's a fair chance that they've got a date in early December, late November, one of those, that they will be meeting again on a neutral site. So a lot of gamesmanship, I think, in this one. North Texas and UTSA is suddenly the big, a massive game in Conference USA West, and at least for the team in the catbird seat. Of course, North Texas ended or ruined UTSA's perfect season last year. Can they do something like that again? They got to go to the Alamo Dome, which is no picnic. Fascinating game there. I think our Mike Craven's going. And finally, Stephenville and China Spring.
I'm glad that this one has panned out to be as good of a matchup as we were hoping.
I'll ruin our rankings reveal down the stretch or back half the show. Sure hope you'll stick around for it. But this is number 1 versus number 2. It is defending state champs duking it out. This game is awesome.
That's so tasty.
We'll have a lot to talk about. It's 3 to see. It's Monday Morning Fallout.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.